2, 3, 4. Hey everybody, this is Colleen coming at you from the Hot Sulphur Springs CO at thinningveilartworks. I'm here with episode 1 of our first foray into multimedia presentation, which is what we do here for the book Soul Songs, as well as our music and art. We are lucky enough to live here on the hillside and have space to do all kinds of creative journeys, everything from arts and crafts and candle making and soap making and visioning and ceramics to working with our band and making music videos and all kinds of things, as well as spirituality and intentional workshops involving self-healing. So welcome. We're really glad you're here. So a little bit about me and what we do here at Thinning Veil Artworks. I am an educator by trade, also a sage, a yogini, an artist, a musician, a writer, and a self-proclaimed American shaman. Which to me, I looked up the definition. It says a person regarded as having access to and influence in the world of good and evil. I heard something somewhere talking about the path of the American shaman, which is very underappreciated and most often shamed in this culture, unlike other cultures where the shaman are revered and trained. Here in America, it's not exactly looked upon in a really high light. It's looked upon more as, the crazies of the world. Mystics here just aren't appreciated. So it's been a little bit of a challenge to not get my light squashed as a light worker, because they've tried pretty much since I got here, and it's just made me stronger and not broken my spirit, but definitely there were lots of opportunities when I could have chosen the path to go the wrong way. So Thinning Veil Artworks is coming into fruition as a multi-fold media company. We are able to host retreats and workshops here in our space, as well as day classes in all kinds of arts and music and spiritual education. Not necessarily so. It's a big mission of mine, but not necessarily everybody who is part of the project. But we are here to hopefully bring about an artist community in this part of Colorado. So thanks for joining us and helping us make our mission complete. This is video 1 in the series following the book Soul Songs, where we're kind of going to do a breakdown of self-actualization chapter by chapter following the book. As we get questions, we will open it up to more intense, deep discussions. But for right now, we're kind of just going to give you a basic synopsis of the book and follow along chapter by chapter and go from there. So the first topic we're going to tackle in this video format is the concept of self-love, which I know is a very generic statement that a lot of people talk about and either mock or don't really understand. Like, hey, I was talking to a friend this weekend. He's like, I love myself, blah, 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 blah. And a lot of people, really kind of take that at face value and don't want to give the true understanding of what self-love means. And it's a trifold. Like, I'm not trying to say that anybody hates themselves 100%, but there is definitely an epidemic in this country of people not being okay with who they are as they are. And, especially in America, with the media and the government and everything telling us how we're supposed to be or what we're supposed to do. I'm not a political supporter, but the concept of political villains as catalysts for change isn't a real popular one with a lot of people. They would rather point fingers than look within themselves. So for me, I don't think you can save the world unless you spend a little time or a lot of time, depends on you, focusing on saving the world within. And so it's a lot like the concept of putting the oxygen mask on the child on the airplane. I think it's great that people want to save the world. You know, I'm here as a healer. I too want to do that, but I think if we don't focus on first saving ourselves, that there's really no chance in the mission of saving the world actually going through. So self-love. I don't think that this is a new concept for most people. I think it's pretty much in the popular culture. We've all heard, you know, you have to love yourself before anybody can love you, which is true, but I think that most people just kind of take it as a tagline and don't really dive deep into understanding what that actually means. You know, which doesn't mean that I'm saying everybody hates on themselves, but I think that it is pretty well accepted that when we hate on other people, we're not talking about ourselves, when actually the opposite of that is really true. And anything that you're projecting outward onto someone else is either something that you don't allow yourself to do or that you do yourself. And that's why it annoys you and why certain people trigger you and certain people don't. So cut and dry, there's only one of us here. That concept may be a little bit big, but, you know, why do certain people affect you and others don't? You have to kind of think about that. Okay, so with this bit of information, we're going to move on to our first exercise, which is a little bit of self-reflection or mirror work, depending on how you roll. So you can do this in one of two ways. I'm going to invite you to pause the recording with a piece of paper, and you're going to make a list of 10. And you're going to look at 10 characteristics of one person or many people. It really doesn't matter if it's like 10 different people. It could be somebody you work with or your partner or your kid or whoever. That's irrelevant. And like I said, you know, multiple people is fine, but you're going to make a list of all the things that you don't like about another person. And then after you do that, we're going to unpause the video and come back. Okay, so here's where we get into the yucky, we don't want to talk about it part of the work, but it's really okay, I promise. So again, I'm going to go down my list, and the first one is the person that I don't like their behavior ignores me. So where did that concept come from? Gee, I don't know. It's been following me around my whole life, you know? I always wanted to hang out with my big sister and brother. They didn't really want to hang out with me. That's how I ended up getting in a lot of trouble as a kid. My mom, great human, did so much good work in her life, but always was putting other kids ahead of me, which wasn't a bad thing. You know, as an adult, I appreciate and see what compassion and what a big heart she had. But as a 7-year-old, I'm like, why can't my mommy just take me to the circus? Why do we have to take 5 of her students too? Like I was the last important thing on her list. And then, you know, turn that around to my life as an adult. I'm kind of aloof, you know. I have to make really, really great strides within myself to make sure I go out of my way to tell the people that I love what they mean to me, because I'm also someone who was conditioned to just do acts of service, which doesn't always work for everybody. That's one of my themes, and how I feel loved is when people help me out and do stuff for me, but that's not everybody's love language, if you're familiar with those. So I can tend to be kind of ignoring with my kids. Their needs are always met, but I'm not always there to play. You know, my little guy often even says to me, "Hey, Mom, are you listening?" And, you know, I don't like it, but I'll be like, no, I'm sorry, please forgive me. And then we move on from there, you know? So number one. Number two, thinks I'm replaceable, okay? So you're seeing how these themes tie back into yourself, right? So the person that I was thinking of in this scenario thought that I wasn't a valuable member of the organization and therefore let me go, for lack of a better word. And then, you know, it turns out that the organization couldn't function without me. I've had that happen in several situations in the workplace. It's a theme that tends to show up more in work than not, okay, for me. So what does that tell me about myself? Again, when we're looking at these concepts, we have to remember that it's either something we do or something that like we think about ourselves or don't allow ourselves to do. So, have I ever thought I wasn't good enough? That I was replaceable? Well, yeah, it's a theme that's, again, followed me since I was a little kid. I was in theater, never got the lead role, always was in the choir, always was there. Gifted and talented program. I think I was 1 point or something below the qualification number on the scoring system they used to get in. So I was always good enough, but not, the best at anything. I was told if I had just focus on one thing that I would go so far, but I just was chronically attracted to multiple things. So, again, there's a part of me that until I did a lot of the work really thought that I was replaceable. But now, in a healthier state, I know I'm not. I know what I bring to the table. I know that I'm uniquely myself, and there's a set of skills and talents that I individually possess, and that's part of why, even though there's only one of us here, we are all separate entities and, drops of the whole, so to speak. Okay, so the next one, talks mean to me. Gee, I've never done that in my life. Again, I've been told that I'm way too honest. I have a couple of friends, 2 of my best girlfriends, and we all suffer from this. Women are not particularly favored when they have big mouths and opinions and say what they think. And so one of the things that I've really had to learn is filter. Okay. And so again, I'm getting triggered by someone who speaks mean to me, but it's something that I too do, or, really have to be conscious to not do in a loving and learning situation. Emotionally distant. Okay. Again, all of these things follow themes from my whole life. Well, gee, I was given up from birth for adoption, and I spent a lot of time in foster care before getting adopted. And then, like I said, with my mom, always having other people first, So I have chosen relationships over and over again with people that are emotionally distant. One, because that's what I know. And then again, flip it back on myself. Am I emotionally distant? And the third fold of that, am I not in touch with my own emotions? Like hunger is not an emotion, but I didn't even know what hunger was for many, many years. And so, I've chosen relationships with people that are emotionally distant. I can be very aloof and emotionally distant, and my emotions, except maybe really big projections of, rage or sadness, were the only emotions that I knew. And one of the things that I've had to spend a lot of time working on internally is feeling my feelings. And, it was new. They were blocked out for a really, really long time. And sometimes when I get triggered, they still are, until I breathe and center myself back in the heart and really try to feel the feelings. And we'll talk about that in another video, because heart and brain connection is really a big part of the journey to manifesting what you want in this life. So, okay, go down your list. I won't go down the rest of mine, but you can see just with those first 4 how those themes have been prevalent in my life. And I just did this the same as you. I didn't premeditate it and think of great topics to talk about that were going to be all encompassing. I just thought of somebody who has really given me a lot of mental anguish over the last couple of years that I've learned to make peace with, and how they were a really great teacher for me. So, okay, have fun figuring the rest of that list out. We'll be right back. All right, so that pretty much wraps up the exercise. I hope that was helpful. Please come back and tune in to more videos, because we are going to go through the meat of the Soul Songs book in video fragments on this new channel. Again, please like us on Facebook at Thinning Veil Artworks. The band is Bottlerocket Hurricane. My blog on WordPress, all of that will be listed below in the comments. We've got some upcoming workshops here for crafters locally to get ready for Christmas, as well as I'm working at Mountain Moon Yoga, offering Kirtan meditation and fragmentation workshops. So we're doing it all up here, and we're glad to have you with us, being a part of it. So thanks for listening, and tune in next time. Bye.